Hi, my name is Kyle Oliver, and I'm here to introduce you to the Digital Literacies for Ministry project. You may know that back in about 2012, the lifelong learning team at Virginia Theological Seminary got really interested in the question of how digital and hybrid tools and spaces and just sort of ways of being in the world were shaping the practice of ministry. We started thinking about faith formation because that was our sort of core competency, but sort of expanded the circle of questions and collaborators out to parish communications, and I think really all modes of ministry and religious leadership in the 21st century. We convened a lot of little experiments. We did a lot of teaching, a lot of trying things out, reporting on what was happening. You probably know that a lot of this is happening through our eFormation learning community, which meets in person and online, both at Virginia Seminary and at regional events around the country and around the world. And back in about 2014, we decided we were reaching a lot of ministry practitioners who were known to our center and to our team at Virginia Seminary, but we knew that folks in other seminaries were also asking these questions, but we didn't know about the answers they were finding. And so during the 2014-2015 school year, I traveled around the country and spoke with colleagues in theological education, mostly in seminaries, about what kinds of skills our colleagues thought were important for the students that they were training for ministry, given the context that we're in today, and two, how they go about doing that training. And the process was really rich. We met a lot of folks who have become wonderful friends and collaborators. We gathered a ton of data, recorded a lot of those interviews, and sort of pored over the transcripts and identified what we have come to call 7 digital literacies for ministry. And I'll let my colleagues tell you more about them.
My name is Lisa Kimball. I'm the Associate Dean for Lifelong Learning and Professor of Christian Formation and Congregational Leadership. This project began some time ago, in the summer of 2012, when I was privileged to be able to hire the first digital missioner in theological education, the Reverend Kyle Oliver. Kyle and I together conceived and offered a digital media for ministry course here at our seminary, and the feedback from that course, as well as from our growing eFormation learning community, inspired the proposals that led to this further research. With funding from the Arthur Vining Davis Foundations in 2015, we were able to embark on an eFormation asset mapping project. Specifically, this allowed us to survey exhaustively the websites of all member schools in the Association of Theological Schools, and then to follow up with site visits for observation and interviews with premier scholar practitioners we'd identified. As we were preparing for those site visits, we were grateful that we were able to incorporate the gifted leadership of the Reverend Stacy Williams Duncan, who has since joined us here at the seminary as our visiting professor of digital learning. She brought particular insight to our research protocols. A gifted research assistant, Isabella Blanchard, conducted and managed the website data gathering, and Kyle himself made the site visits and conducted the interviews. So we had a lot of data. The interviews were transcribed, the web data was sorted and resorted, and together we began the coding. A preliminary set of digital literacies began to emerge from that data, and we defined them generally as the capacities necessary for full, effective ministerial engagement in our digital age. With that preliminary set of digital literacies, in true grounded theory style, we knew that we needed to engage other voices and the research in conversation. So in June of 2016, on the heels of our annual eFormation conference, we hosted a symposium for key leaders who had been identified through our mapping process to receive our preliminary findings and to respond to them in frank and thoughtful ways. Based on our colleagues' feedback, we then recorded interview data further. We refined the identification of the digital literacies for ministry, and we began to distinguish them from knowledge and skills necessary in other related fields, such as digital theology. We identified 7 distinct literacies, and you will hear more about them from my colleagues on this team. In 2017, ATS awarded us a faculty development grant to begin to practice embedding these literacies in and across the curriculum here at Virginia Seminary. So now we have firsthand feedback from my faculty colleagues who are beginning to understand and engage with these literacies. Today, our digital literacies team has expanded even further to include Sarah Stonecipher, who is our new operations manager and digital missioner here at Virginia Seminary. And together with Sarah and Stacy and Kyle and so many of you, we have begun to nuance and practice more fully what we can learn from these digital literacies. Together, we are refining, testing, promoting the literacies. We've developed a web-based toolkit that is loaded with proven resources and practices from the ground. We have a journal article that is in process and progress and will be documented and document all of our conceptual framework, as well as some of the findings, and introducing the literacies to a wider audience. We're hoping that this video will introduce you to the literacies, to our conceptual framework, and to the digital literacies toolkit, which we then, in fact, hope you will contribute to as your practice informs. I am very proud of this work. I'm proud of this team. I'm excited about our findings, and they will only become richer with your full engagement and involvement. So welcome on board, welcome to the Digital Literacies Project, and we'd love to hear more from you.
Hi, I'm Stacy Williams Duncan, and I'm part of the Digital Literacies research team from Virginia Theological Seminary. Besides the digital literacies, which came out of our research, and they're very important, another important concept that came out of our research was this clarification of the domains. Lots of people are talking about the digital impact on faith world and on our understanding of who we are and who God is and how we interact. But it was hard to figure out how these different people from different areas interacted with each other and related to each other. We clarified the domains by breaking up the research that we found into 4 different groupings. The first is digital religion. People that are studying via religious studies and comparative religion, the reality of religion in a digital age. Another is digital theology, people that are making sense and making meaning of how the digital world and digital developments impact our beliefs. The next is digital ministry. That's where our e-formation community falls in and where we spend a lot of our time at VTS. How do we use and access digital media so that it benefits and enhances our ministries? And the last is digital pedagogy. And that's where we talk about how is the digital world impacting how we teach? And particularly for us in this research, how is it impacting theological education and what is being taught in seminaries? Much of our work around digital literacies for ministry falls between those 2 domains of digital ministry and digital pedagogy. We're very interested in how digital media is impacting ministry on the ground, but we're also really committed to helping make sure that it can become part of the theological education that's preparing people for ministry. To this end, we developed a digital literacies toolkit that can be found at digitalliteracies.toolkit.org. And we'll put a link underneath this video too. But the important thing about the Digital Literacies Toolkit is that it's designed to help theology school professors, seminary professors, think about how they integrate the literacies into their courses. How do they teach with digital media, but also how do they take and manifest one of the literacies as part of a course? We've been piloting and doing some research on this over the last 2 years, and we are excited about how open many faculty members have been to consider how they can better prepare people for 21st century ministry.